Welcome back. And we went from one end of the building to the other there at epochtimes.com. And we went over to Nan Su's office. He's across the hall probably from Joshua there. He's also a senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times with an eye on the focus on China, and especially China politics and government deception. He was born and raised in China, and he came to the United States in 1989. His personal story is fascinating. And again, the website is theepochtimes.com. Nan, good to see you again. How are you, friend?
Pretty good. Thank you, Perry, for having me again.
You bet. All right, the president is heading over to meet with Xi. What's your take?
Well, I think Trump is in a much better position comparing with the time before the Iran military operation. So now he has a lot stronger cards in his hand, and hopefully he's going to reach his goals, which I believe is to defend the peace at the Western Pacific.
Okay, so does that mean Taiwan?
Yes. Well, think about this. We want to protect Taiwan and our supply chain of semiconductor chips, while China wants to support Iran and China wants oil. And so that's the boundary and the baseline set for this summit, basically. And then with this being said, I think, if you compare with before the Iran war and then what we are today, I think Trump is in a much better position. And with this boundary being set, then we can talk about a lot more things, such as, China need American oil now, and then we need the Western world need rare earths from China, and also, of course, we want China to buy more American farm products like beef and beans, and also maybe Boeing airplanes. And China want a little more of our technological products. So those things can be figured out. But I don't. Besides more of the trading that we can talk about, I think. The current situation, I don't expect a lot more.
Okay, there's a lot here. Let me unpack it a little bit. How does the president handle the situation with China as it relates to oil from Iran?
I think it's great because now China used to buy the 90% of the export oil from Iran, and it's very cheap, and also from Venezuela. It's a cheap source of oil for China, and China is not an energy independent country. 70% of its oil and gas need to import it from outside. They need to buy from anywhere but inside of China. So they have been purchasing the oil from Russia and Venezuela, which is gone now. And China, half of the total oil consumption of China are from Middle East. So now they cannot get anything from the Middle East without the Strait of Hormuz being open. And also, this Iran will totally change the geopolitical landscape in the Middle East. So besides Iran, so everybody else is on the U.S. side now. So we have all these GC nations except Iran. They're all now this very strong ally, depending on their security-wise, they are depending on the United States. So therefore, and we have this blockade going on in the Middle East. So therefore, we are in a much stronger hand comparing, in February before this war started. So now think about this. I'm still believing we are in the most dangerous time window that we could have a war at the Western Pacific between 2026 and 2030. Now, if we can, defend the peace during this time window and between 2030 and 2035, the level of danger that's going to have a war at the Western Pacific will a lot lower. And then after 2035, I think we just only need to maintain the peace. So, but now it's the crucial time. So the way that Trump really, holds oil as a main energy source right now, to really, I think he's really getting ahead of the game to protect Taiwan and keep the peace in Taiwan Strait and Western Pacific.
Okay, so is it true that China has large storage of oil?
Yes, probably less 3.5 months, I would say.
Okay.
That's their strategic oil reserve, about 3.5 months. Now, think about this. If you're counting on the time from the beginning when this blockade started, and to now, it's about like months already.
Okay. Okay.
And
Is it
right, but keep in mind, we have been allowing China to buy American oil. They are buying American oil now.
All right, that was my next question. Are they buying oil directly from us now?
Yes,
Well, that really puts us in the driver's seat.
yes.
Okay, so how does this situation slow China's ambition down for going after Taiwan?
Well, it's slowing down the ambition greatly, dramatically, I would say. Now, see, used to China's hesitation of going to a war to take, to invade Taiwan is their economic downturn. Ever since the beginning of 2023, China has been in an economic downturn. Actually, somewhere between 2019 and the end of 2022 was the time that China's economy peaked. But we don't know what time exactly it was because it was during the COVID time. It was the lockdown. Now, but however, we have seen that the China's economy really start going downturn from the beginning of 2023. Now, China's economy has been in the last couple years, at least the last couple years, depending how you analyze their data, that's in a deflation. So now their jobless rate it's sky high. They have about 13 million college graduates now every year, pretty much, but less than 20% of the college graduate can find a job. So that's how serious the situation is being. So what the main challenge in facing Xi Jinping is there are two main challenges. Number one is their jobless rate and their economy. And number two, the priority right now for Xi Jinping is to continue his fourth term in 2027, October of 2027, or no, maybe November. That pretty much at the end of next year, they are going to have the 21st, the National CCP conference. Then that will be the time Xi Jinping, if they will decide if Xi Jinping can continue into his fourth term. So this is the two priority for Xi Jinping. Now, just one more headache add to Xi Jinping. That's the supply chain of their oil and gas.
Wow. All right, let me take a quick break. I got some more questions, and I want to ask it on the other side where you have more time to answer it. Go to epochtimes.com. That is Nan Su's place, and that's also Joshua Phillip we just had on. These gentlemen are doing an excellent job. We'll be right back. Welcome back. What an honor to have with us Nan Su. He's a senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times. He himself is born and raised in China, came to the United States in 1989. His perspective today is really amazing and greatly valued. Nan Su, do you think that if Iran continues to fight against what's happening in Iran, in other words, continue to funnel things to Iran, that it could escalate into a problem with our relationship with China?
No, I think what has been done in Iran to Iran today, it actually make America in a much stronger position.
Okay.
So because now, if you think about this, China, Iran, Russia, North Korea, that's kind of like so-called emerging Euro-Asian continental power. So these major military operation in Iran really weakened the strength of Iran. And also, if you look at this, the boundary of this continental power, Iran is their western front.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are effectively, putting all the GC nations on our side. Think about that. In the past 10 years maybe 20 years, even longer, China has been really trying to, put a hand into the Middle East, trying to, work
Right.
using their economic advantage to lure Saudi and UAE or many other Middle East countries, so that they will have stronger boundaries. They trying to lure all these countries to join the BRICS nation, and also there is a Shanghai Economic Cooperation Summit. This is all the economic platforms created by the CCP. So they're kind of, so all these GC nations, they are kind of getting closer and closer and closer to China. But however, in the last 2 months of this Iran situation going on, all these GC nations, they clearly see who is behind Iran, and Iran is attack them without differentiation. So I think this is a great advantage that's been created by this major military operation in Iran.
It's just amazing because with the war going on in Iran and the shutdown of the Straits, China and Russia have been greatly impacted by their not only getting the oil, but it's impacting their economy. But the loose cannon here seems to be North Korea. They're developing nukes at an amazing rate. What do we do with that one?
Well, I think it's continued to show strength of American power, and that's one thing. And we have a very strong ally. Oh, thank God we have Takaichi, the newly elected Japanese Prime Minister last October.
Mm-hmm.
She's very strong to defend Taiwan. She's proactive to improve the relation between Japan and South Korea. Now we do have the situation. South Korea government more or less like a flip flop on both, trying to take advantage on both sides. Kind of a continuation of the global economy, that kind of era. So they want to depending on the United States for the security, while they want to depending more and more on China for their economy, which it can be seen as a weakness. But however, as long as we try to, we have a lot of a deep relation with South Korea historically, and as long as we can win the peace, keep the peace in the Western Pacific, so we can win the time. This is the final goal for Donald Trump. He will need to win the time for America to become great again. All these policies will not take any effect without the time.
The president said over the weekend that we, the United States, will go in and get the enriched uranium from Iran. If that is accomplished, and I don't see why we would not do that at this stage, we have to get control of everything nuclear in Iran, which means the regime would be done. And that leaves Iran basically neutered, not only from nuclear warfare, but hopefully the citizens will rise and take over. But what ends up with the Strait, the oil pipeline to the world? Who controls the Strait when it's all done?
Well, of course, the strait will be open. That's for sure, because time is also crucial. We just done talking about the long-term goal, but short-term goal, we need to get a Strait of Hormuz open because we just don't have enough oil supply for the entire world. The world still need the Middle East oil, and if we cannot get the strait open for another few months, I would say optimistically in 6 months, that's probably going to be a global economic recession that's coming. So we need to get that done. And then, of course, we need to take care of to effectively end the nuclear program in Iran. The whole world, not just the United States, we just not afford to let Iran to have a nuclear program. That's for sure. So now, the timing wise, how I think it really depending on Trump administration to decide within the next 6 months time, when is going to be the best time to accomplish all this.
Back to Xi Jinping. Do you think he survives in 4 years?
We don't know, right? We don't know, but I don't see any reason he is not going to continue into his fourth term now. So he is in a very strong position right now, and he pretty much have total control of the top leadership circle in the CCP, unless he's going to be sick or something. It was just like another stroke or die or whatever. I effectively don't see any reason that he's not going to continue into his fourth term in October or November of 2027.
What's his long-term ambition?
Well, he basically projected that the United States is in the terminal decline. That's his judgment, and he now and well, this is just a big slogan, but I think practically, China, they are done. They just China's economy just cannot continue to grow without the international market. So they want much bigger and much bigger piece of the global market. But however, the way they deal with the international society, or I mean each and every country, the way it's very coercive. It's in the same way they deal with the Chinese people. The Chinese people totally without basic rights in China now. The way they deal with their own people, it's the way they deal with every nation in the world. So that just cannot be continued, and we need to stop them. And now that basically that will drive to the result that is a fatal collision with the United States. So because they want to use their way to deal with this global situation, and United States currently is the leader of the world, or at least the leader of the free world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to run out of time. So what do you think the president wants out of this meeting? What do you think he walks away with?
I think as long as he can keep the peace at the Western Pacific, that's going to be a great achievement. I think he's probably going to invite Xi Jinping come to United States. So this is the it's the time.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have a time so all his policy of making America great again to to become effective, right? So if the war that's going to break out tomorrow at the Western Pacific, then we are going to totally change it. He's going to need to go totally change his agenda. He doesn't have time to make America great again. We need to have time so that the manufacturer will come back to the United States, so that the middle class will be strengthened, and so this is all take time.
In spite of the fact that China is really feeling the squeeze and their oil reserves are draining by the day, can they still be trusted?
No, we can never trust China. CCP is the biggest threat to the global peace and humanity in the entire human history. I have definitely no doubt about that.
Okay, so all of this has to be handled with kid gloves. Do you think, on another subject real quick, do you think we completely finished the job in Iran?
No, we don't. I think, although I think Trump has done a tremendous and great job in the past 2 months with the excellency of U.S. military, but I think there was one thing that Trump administration really underestimated, which is the level of brutality of this regime to their own society and their own people. So I think that the economic blockade needs a long time to become effective. Just look at Cuba, and Iran is the size of Iran is 15 times of Cuba, and also Iran can get some sort of supply through Caspian Sea from Russia and also from railroad from China. So it's the economic blockade is going to take a very long time. I don't know how long it is, and depending on if this freedom project will actually become successful. This is just one part of it, economic part of it, but we still have Iran's nuclear program that need to be ended.
Nan Su, thank you. We're always honored when we have time to be with you. Thank you, my friend. God bless you and you guys, all the work you do over there at Epoch Times. Let's stay connected. Look forward to many more visits. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.